Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of the Rogue Soul YouTube channel. I'm your host, Javante, and I'm back again with another heart to heart, another conversation. Um, this one's going to be another tough one for me today. Today, I'm going to be talking about a couple of topics. First one I want to get into would be receiving spiritual guidance. Now, to me, from what I know, you can receive spiritual guidance from anywhere, like intuitively, between you and your connection to spirit. You can receive it via, like oracle cards if you do those, tarot cards if you do those. You can receive them from family or any other person that's more trained and more inept to receiving that guidance, or for clarifying that guidance to present to you, if that makes sense. So a lot of what I've been working on has been more so like spiritual based. I wanted to get into more of a better relationship between myself and God, between myself and my guardian angels, my spirit guides, and my ancestors, like those that help for my highest good. But I found myself noticing a lot of times that the answers that I would receive by a multitude of ways wouldn't I wouldn't understand them. And when I did understand them, I only understood them from a place of logic. Was being taught to me, or as I'm learning, with the help, of my family, with the help of, building that connection with the divine over time, is that most spiritual clarity is not going to make sense logically. Does that make sense? All the time. It's not going to make sense logically. Because I have a habit of only operating from a logical space, I mainly only see things as, 2 plus 2 equals 4. This is the formula. This is what was agreed upon by, society, that this plus this equals this. This is what we follow. The divine doesn't follow. The divine has its own thing going. It has its own way of operating that isn't necessarily tailored to what society deems is the correct way of meaning. And because I mostly shut myself out emotionally, and I shut myself out from myself, and I don't really try to feel as much. I don't necessarily try to be more so present with myself. I'm either focusing on what I can be, what I can become, or what I've already have been. And when I receive spiritual guidance from anywhere, it never fully clicks. It only click in either one form or it's not really clicking at all. And what I recently discovered in regards to myself, not recently, like discovered, because I've had like inklings throughout my life that it possibly would be a good thing for me to consider doing, would be actually going to therapy. I'm seeing now, with the help of with the help of my family mostly, that a lot of preconceptions and a lot of traumas and a lot of ways of being that I am, or that I have, are very much so ingrained to the point that I may need to seek out professional help to deal with the issues that I struggle with within the physical world, if that makes sense. Making sure that to start taking care of my mental health and mental well-being in regards to a physical sense first, before I start trying to understand things from a spiritual sense. Once I can get through my mental fog and my mental in my mental, then I'll be able to, and I address the issues that I have on a physical level. I address some of the ways of thinking that I have, and I work through those on a physical level in regards to my mental stability. Then I can proceed to understand things better from a spiritual sense. And it's something that I've always struggled with in regards to, finding a therapist or going to therapy at all, really, because to me, growing up and just going through life, that's always been, if not the one of my greatest fears. One of my greatest fears just being labeled as crazy or being deemed unable to function normally in society, that somebody somewhere was just going to end up pressing a sad boy button, and then the people would show up to my house to like take me away to like some type of asylum, or get to a point where I would have to be medicated and I wouldn't be able to function in society without having to take these drugs. And I spent a good portion of my life seeing the mental spiral of those that I've grown up with, my former relatives, just seeing those, the mental stability of those people spiral. And when you grow up seeing that, and well, when I grew up seeing that, I felt that I had to make a decision. I couldn't be the one to go crazy. I can't lose my mind. I can't be the one that's mentally unstable. I can't be that. I have to be the one to find stability. I have to be the one to be able to function in society. I have to be the one to make it. I have to be the one to survive. And I picked up a lot of habits and a lot of demeanors, a lot of disassociative things along the way that may not have been for the best in regards to making those decisions. I can admit now that after a certain point, I stopped actually growing. I believe I mentioned this in one of my previous videos, that I stopped actually growing up, and I started just mimicking how a grown-up should be. And without actually like just fully learning how to grow up in the different stages that I was, like how to fully be a child, how to fully be a teenager, and actually like learning those skills needed instead of just mimicking how to be an adult and how to function into society. This is what you do. This is how you act. This is how you operate. You follow the rules. You keep your head down. You don't give too much. You don't say too much. And I remember when I had came back from college back in 2016. I remember it was a bad time for me. I didn't know where I was going. My dreams and my aspirations and what I wanted had crumbled. And I was trying to find myself. I ended up going back to school, to a different school, but I wasn't satisfied. I was quite bored. My family life was just in turmoil at that time with the relatives I was with. And I just didn't intuitively, I felt I needed to see someone, and I tried to do that on my own. But nothing ever really panned out because, again, I had that fear of being labeled crazy. I never went to my relatives in regards to this, while growing up. To me, mental instability wasn't something that you talk about with anybody. And then, later on, having to see the topic come back up with my sister, and seeing how one of my former relatives, well, a couple of my former relatives tried to have, well, not tried, they had her put in a mental ward because they believe she was mentally like unstable and could harm like herself or others. And when the doctors cleared her, it was just this under no one really understood why, and no explanations were given. It was just back to the same old, same old. And I remember how I found out my sister was put in the mental ward. Now, mind you, my little sister at the time was a child, like in high school. I believe like a sophomore. How I found out was my I was staying with my grandmother, and there's no place far away. My mother was always over my grandmother's house, and she came in and she went through this whole spiel about how she needed money to pay her phone bill. And then after that, she told me she's work's been a little tight dealing with, going to school to get my sister for whatever reason. Says she needed money to pay like her phone bill. And then proceeds to tell me that she put my sister in a mental ward, like it was just casual. And I remember feeling at that point in time a lot of things, mostly anger, mostly rage, because your primary thing here was asking me for money more than what I already, give to any situation that I'm in. But then you try to justify that by using my sister as a scapegoat, by putting her in a mental ward for no reason. When to me, the clear issue was the dynamic at home, with the facts that you don't treat her appropriately, you don't trust her, you're mean to her, and you allow her other sister to be mean to her. And that just pushed the whole mental stability thing for me even more back. Like, just no. I don't have a choice to be that. I don't have a choice to be in somebody's chair telling them and going through that. I have to be the one that's stable. I have to be the one to make it through here, because I'm seeing everybody spiral around me. I'm clearly seeing a parent spiral. I've seen both parents spiral. I've seen my sister's spiral. I've seen other relatives spiral. And I couldn't allow myself to spiral, or even say that I'm spiraling. Because at that point, who's driving the boat? I'm still a child. Well, growing up, who's driving the boat? If everybody's in their minds, in the corner, sucking their thumbs, rocking back and forth, how are any of us gonna make it? And I didn't pay attention to the fact that I wasn't really prepared well to enter adulthood. I wasn't prepared well as far as growing up, really. I worked with what I had and I made decisions based off of how I felt and what I was seeing and observing around me. And I wasn't fully aware of the impact that that has done to me mentally, as far as disassociating myself from reality, disassociating myself from myself, disassociating myself just from my family, friends, people in general, not being comfortable with being human, not being comfortable at all with being that, always aspiring to be more, always seeing the wonder in what could be, and creating different versions of yourself to be, to enact, to act out. And I didn't fully grasp that because I was just always saying to myself, you can't be mentally unstable. You don't have a choice to. You have to keep on going. If you're not stable, who's driving the boat? And so I just continue to mimic. And just not understanding the full price that has. Not the full price, but the full toll that has taken on me and my mental health. And it's gonna be a tough journey for me. It's gonna be something. It's not new in the sense of like I've done like one to three like actual sessions before. 3 different therapists. One in person, and it wasn't really like a therapy session. It was more of a getting to know you session. 2 was over the phone, video recorded, like video, not recorded, but like video over the phone, like a Zoom. And both of those, well, all 3 of those, I feel like I haven't really been able to fully address anything with them. And then, of course, I stopped after the first ones because I told myself that, well, again, it's a fear of mine. So I never wanted to be labeled as mentally unstable. I never wanted to be labeled as anything with that. I've always wanted to be good and functioning. I can do this too, just like everybody else. I just have to learn what to do in order to do that. And that's why I stopped. But also, I realized that even throughout those sessions, when I was talking to these professionals, I noticed that they would say, "Well, Javante, it sounds like you're doing perfect. You're doing fine, and you're making, sound decisions, and you know, you're doing, the right thing as far as yourself." And I would never, and I just be a gasp, like, then why don't I feel fine? Why don't I feel like everything is okay? And I didn't feel like it was working. So I also had to realize that a lot of stuff and how I phrase things and how I say things trigger to other people that I am okay because I explain it out in a logistical way to people. I explain it out in a way to where it seems like it's okay to do, which I'm learning isn't really very honest as far as how I feel. And I never really would go deep into like how I feel in regards to the matter of things. I would go into what I logistically did and how I logistically did this and the decisions that I made in regards to this. And I never really would put any real like emotions behind that, which in and of itself is a form of being dishonest fully. So I'm excited to say that sooner than later I will finally be in somebody's chair, and I will be going to therapy to work through a lot of my struggles when it relates to the physical reality of things, and just learning a new way in receiving help with navigating and going through life and how to be and how to and basically growing myself up from that child state that I've been stuck at for a long time now. So I understand it may be a rocky road ahead, and I'm gonna have a struggle with being fully honest in that capacity with people. Because I know it's been a struggle with being honest with, my new family. As of right now, it's been a struggle to be honest with friends and the people that I care about. Because to me, it's a struggle with them because when you grow when you feel like you're getting closer with somebody and actually care, what they think about you, you don't want to set them off or raise any red flags. So you try to, let's just operate like how a normal person would operate. And not knowing that you're not being normal, and also what is normal, you're sort of acting like a robot. You're giving, responses that are robotic responses. So, with that being said, yes, I did come to a full understanding, and I'm looking forward to embracing my fear and actually going to therapy and working through my issues seriously, not sugarcoating it, not logically explaining my way around things, and not phrasing things to the point where it's like, do you see like my point of view of why I did what I did? 2 + 2 = 4. This is the decision I made based off of these facts. And I look forward to seeing the results of that and seeing it how it is. I still feel very uneasy in regards to it. I'm not gonna lie. Even talking about it on camera isn't. I still feel nervous and uneasy about it because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's something that's just always been there with me, and it's always been a thing to where I would tell myself, no, you're not. You can't be that. You, you have to keep on going. You have to be stable in all facets, mentally, physically, stable, solid as a rock. You have to be the ones who have it all together. Otherwise, who's driving the boat? So, I say that to say this. I know this is going to be like a new journey for me. And I also want to encourage others, if you feel, or even have been like me and you felt intuitively you've had to go and you've gone to do that before, like going to therapy, actually see it through and actually be honest when you're there. You know, if yourself is telling you that you want help, listen to it. I'm going through a new self journey with myself where I'm I'm trying and doing my best to like listen to myself and my intuition and to try to do more self-care for myself. So I'm doing this to inspire myself to continue going regardless of whether or not I'm afraid or fearful of what, my family thinks, or just of being just labeled as not functional, or broken, or something's not right. And I hope it inspires, you to whoever, if anybody sees this video anyway. I hope it inspires them if they feel that they may be on the track to, needing some help navigating this world, in the physical, and navigating the physical world. Or, if you feel if you just feel you need some help, if you don't feel all that mentally sound, you know, or if you picked up some things that, I said that you have also gone through and you realize, well, maybe I need to work through some of my issues. I encourage that, you know, but I thank you again for having another conversation with me, for sitting and hearing my struggle. And I have hope for the future, regardless of me being nervous or afraid. And I'm going to continue to do my best. I'm going to continue to try. And I will also wish you guys a wonderful evening. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.